Hey guys, welcome back. This episode is What Are You Waiting For? The Wrestle. Today we're going to talk about wrestling with when God asks you to do something as a believer. So I'm going to kind of go into a story time to explain how this topic came about and what this episode really is about. So a couple days ago, when I was having some time with God, He really expanded a little bit more, because He had already spoken to me about this topic. And this day I was journaling and I was feeling really discouraged. I was looking at the wrong things. When God asked me to do this podcast, I said yes, but that's not to say that I didn't have my reservations. I said yes because my heart is in a place where I want to please Jesus. I want to be obedient, not because I feel like I'm going to be blessed by it, but because I love Him, out of relationship, out of this place where I am with Him. And so He's taken me on this journey of dying to myself, dying to fear, dying to insecurity, dying to people pleasing. And it's a process. God takes us through these processes. It's part of sanctification. It's part of understanding who He is and putting Him in the right place in our lives, not to be underneath what people think of us, because when we live in that way, it's backwards. We're then living for their approval versus God's approval. And so going back to when God spoke to me about what are you waiting for, He literally gave me this title. And in this part of my life, I've been experiencing brain fog here and there. Well, mostly here, hardly there. But it's kind of hard sometimes to really keep a clear head with what He's given me. And so I'm very, very dependent in this season on Him to not only give me what He has for me, myself, and my a relationship with Him in my personal life, but also what He would have me do in this podcast. This podcast is an act of obedience for me, but it's also just as life-giving to me spiritually, as much as it is for whoever this is for, because I receive just as much from receiving from Him. Anytime God is glorified and we believers get to see that, we receive from that because His Spirit is there. He's giving wisdom and we gain from that. When He's glorified, then we see Him for who He is. Truth is revealed. And so in that, I'm just as filled and blessed by what He's saying, what He's showing me to either give to you guys. It's just as much for me as it is for who this podcast is for. And so when He gave me the phrase or the title of this, what are you waiting for? I began to journal out what He was giving me. And even as soon as I was done writing what this topic was about, I had already forgotten all the stuff that I had just written down. I wanted to share with my husband about what I got, and I could kind of give him the important parts, but I really had to depend on my journal, because as the Spirit is flowing and giving me the wisdom, giving me the understanding and knowledge, it's a gift from Him so that I have it to look back on, because if it was just up to me, I would have forgotten it already, just because that's kind of where I am in my life. And so as He expanded my understanding for this topic, as I reread what He had given me and I sat with it, I really felt the need to sit with it. I really felt the need to allow Him to expand my understanding. I really imagined and felt led to just spiritually chew on all of this. It wasn't to be rushed. It was this feeling I had that it was something that over time it would settle in my spirit. And so I really took my time with the understanding of it. And it's interesting because He told me to go and read Jonah. And He gave me a phrase, which that's kind of how He talks to me. And so He gave me a phrase, I wrote it down, told me go read Jonah, and I did. And I'm no Bible expert. I am just an everyday Christian. I don't have things memorized verbatim. I remember the heart of the passages. I remember the stories. But I am no Bible expert. I can't even tell you where each book is. But that's not needed. That's, again, the journey with God. That's the journey with Him. It's fine if you know all those things. It's fine if you can recite His word. That's great, actually, because the Bible says to keep those things close to our heart, and His word should be written in our heart, and that's His intention. I'm not there yet, and that's okay. And if you're not there yet, that's okay either, because it's not about being the best, and it's not about competing or thinking, wow, that person really has it together because they can recite a Bible verse and they know where it's at. So going back to him speaking to me about this, he said, go into Jonah. And I love this season with God. I have to tell you, I love this season because it really is like He sends me on these adventures with Him. He gives me this phrase. He gives me a Bible verse. He gives me a picture or a visual. And I get to go explore, Jesus, what does that mean? And He and I take time I take time with Him as He reveals it, as He opens my understanding and gives me wisdom to understand what it is that He's showing me and wanting me to understand. And I love that because He gives me the puzzle pieces, and piece by piece I get to understand what He's speaking to me. And so I went and I read Jonah, and I wrote down in my notes about Jonah. And I think we all, even if we're baby Christians, if we're just beginning, if we're new believers, at some point or another, if you grew up in church, if you're learning, there's like the staple stories, and Jonah was one of the staple stories, is one of the staple stories of, Jonah was swallowed by a fish, and he was in the belly for 3 days. And that's pretty much the gist of what I knew about Jonah. I knew that in my walk that he didn't listen to God, and he ran away, and he was swallowed by a fish. So when I went to read Jonah this time, it was with fresh eyes. It was as if I'd never read it before. Although I didn't remember. I don't have Jonah memorized. And so it was really cool to read it, what felt like the first time, with wisdom given by Him. And so as I read it, I started to see things that I had never seen before. So God tells Jonah to go talk to Nineveh. And he's like, nope, I'm not going. And so for the first time, I got to see myself in Jonah. And I got to see us as human beings, as God's children in Jonah. He is just like all of us. He wants to do what he wants to do. He thinks he knows what's right and what's wrong. And he digs his heels in. And he doesn't want to go. And so he says, nope, I'm not going there. I don't want to go preach what you told me to say to them. Of course, I'm paraphrasing all of this. But he gets a ticket and he leaves. He goes somewhere else. And so while he's on the boat, God sends a storm and the boat is getting tossed. And the people are like, what is going on? Who caused this storm? Someone must have made the gods angry. And so they are asking each other, like, what's going on? And Jonah is underneath taking a nap. That kind of stuck out to me. I was like, okay, well, if he was taking a nap, he really, at least in my interpretation, I'm thinking he really didn't care. Like, he wasn't scared. If that was me, I would have been like, oh, I disobeyed God. Like a nervous wreck. I would have been like, what is going to happen? But Jonah was dead asleep. So to me, I'm thinking he could not care less. He was not worried. If he can sleep that deep through a storm like that, that kind of told me like he was fine with just disobeying and doing his thing because that's what he wanted to do. Again, I don't know that, but that's the way I interpreted his sleeping through that huge storm. So they go downstairs. What's going on? Who are you? Where are you from? And he tells them who he is. I'm a Hebrew, and I serve the Lord who created heavens and earth. And they're like, oh my gosh, what did you do to make him angry? And he's like, okay, you guys, you need to throw me over because that's the only way that this is going to stop. Because he knew why that storm was happening. God had caused that storm because he had disobeyed. So they throw him over. He gets swallowed by the fish. And then he's like praying to God in the belly of the fish. And the fish 3 days later spits him out. Okay, so now he's like, I'm going to go. Fine, I'll go. But what stuck out is he was still not happy. He was obeying God. It reminded me of like how we are, where we're just like, you know what? I don't even want to do this. I'll do it. Fine. But your heart is just so like bitter. You're bitter about it. You're just like, I'll do it, I guess. But I don't like it. That was Jonah. That's just like us. When we have to do something we don't want to, we are complaining or griping about it. We may do it, but we're not happy about it. We're going to complain about it. We're going to let people know how we're not happy. So he went and he did what God asked him to do. He told him in 40 days, if you don't turn from your ways, from your sinful ways, like the city is going to be destroyed. And to his surprise or not surprise, they all turned. They all put on their sackcloths of mourning and were just like, oh my gosh, they repented. And you would think that Jonah would be like, wow, okay, like these people repented. Good for them. No. Jonah was mad. And again, I'm going to paraphrase. Jonah was mad because he was like, you see, he told God, you see, paraphrasing again, I knew you're merciful. I knew you're compassionate. I knew that you would have patience for them and you would forgive them if they turned. Like, why did you have me go anyway if you were going to do this? So Jonah was bitter, and I'm seeing Jonah now as like so different. As a real person, I'm sure we can see ourselves in Jonah and people we know as Jonah, with just his attitude about the whole thing. Very childlike and just self-centered and thinking that what he knows is best. And you see, I knew this was going to happen. Like, why did you even waste my time type of thing? And so it was really interesting and kind of funny to see Jonah's attitude towards the whole situation. And so after that and all the people repented, Jonah left and God sent heat, a scorching sun and heat. And so Jonah is like still upset. Now he's griping because it's so hot. And then God creates this plant that grew overnight to provide shade. And now he's like, okay, you know, I get some relief from the shade. And then God sends the plant to like shrivel up, like something happened to the root and it like stopped being able to cover him. I think it died. And then he's like, great, like it would be better to die instead of being out in the sun like this. Like, and then God's like, do you, what did he say? Something like, do you think that it's okay to have that response? I'm going to read it to you. And it's just so funny to see God speaking to him and telling him, like calling him on it. And I just thought it was so funny. So Jonah 4, let's see, 8. And as the sun grew hot, God arranged for the scorching east wind to blow on Jonah. The sun beat down on his head until he grew faint and wished to die. Death is certainly better than than living like this, he exclaimed. Number 9. Then God said to Jonah, is it right for you to be angry because the plant died? Yes, Jonah retorted. Even angry enough to die. Then the Lord said, you feel sorry about the plant, though you did nothing to put it there. It came quickly and died quickly. But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people living in spiritual darkness, not to mention all the animals. Shouldn't I feel sorry for such a great city? And so he's putting Jonah in his place. Like, look, these people I care about. I sent you to go say my message. I sent you to go preach my word to them so that they would turn from their ways. And Jonah didn't care because he didn't want to go. He was like, you know what? Their life, like pretty much their lives don't matter because I'm not going. You can figure it out, God. Like, you figured out some other way because I'm not going to go. And so even after he saw that these people had heard God's word, how they had repented and changed and turned towards God, he still was not moved in compassion. He wasn't moved to see the blessing of these people turning and what that really meant. And so God was telling him, look, when I tell you to do something, do it. I have my reasons why, and I want you to partner with me. God doesn't need to partner with us. He doesn't need us, but yet he invites us because we're his children, because that's his intention. He has plans that include us that we can say yes to or no to, just like Jonah did. And I find that really interesting because it really does show our hearts. In the story of Jonah, it really does show how when God asks us to do something, we can act like Jonah so many times. So we come up with excuses. We come up with reasons. Sometimes we are convinced that those reasons are valid and they make sense and they're logical. We convince ourselves of so many reasons as to why it doesn't make sense to listen to when God is asking us to do something, whether it's to turn from a sin, whether it's to bless someone, whether it's to pray for someone, whether it's to speak about him to someone, whatever it is, we come up with excuses as to why we don't need to. That must not be you. I don't believe that it's you. Maybe later, maybe next time. But it shows that when God asks us to do something, we have the opportunity to partner with him and what can happen. And we rely so much on our knowledge, on our wisdom, on our logic and understanding. And we have that become the king of our life. We have our understanding on the throne versus the obedience to God, versus allowing ourselves to be the vessels of God here on earth, which is God's intention. Why else would he ask us to do things? He doesn't need us. So if he doesn't need us, then why is he asking us? Because it's his plan. He has plans and he wants to use us. He wants us to partner with him. There's so many reasons why. It's not just one reason. But what I've seen personally is our faith is grown. People who hear, we're supposed to be preaching the gospel so that people would be saved, so that people would come to know God and that they would be saved from their sin, just like those Ninevites or the people in Nineveh. And so when God was asking me the other day to continue on with this podcast, it's not that I was going to quit, but I was just having a day where I was just being really doubtful. And I was getting in my head, I was making these assumptions and looking at things with my understanding and saying, you know what, I don't really know if this is working, God, like, because my heart is to please God. My heart is to allow him to use me because I want people to come to know him, because I have this huge desire for people to come to know him and fall in love with him and turn from things that pull them away from him, that things that are harmful to them in their life, for them to turn from the things that are bringing death instead of life, that are not God's intention for them. My heart is that they would come to know him fully and experience that love personally and that transformation through Jesus. And I know that it's not up to me. I know that I'm not saving them. I understand that fully. But I was having a moment, and I'm just going to be very vulnerable. I was having a moment where I was thinking, God, does this even matter? Is this even doing anything? Are you being glorified in anyone's heart? Are their hearts turning towards you, Jesus? Are they receiving this and seeing your beauty? Because if not, just like Jonah, because if not, God, what's the point? Why am I wasting my time? Just like Jonah was like, I knew you were going to do it anyway. Like, why did you even have me do it? I was saying the same thing. And God was telling me, look, I sent you to do this. Don't hold on to your understanding as as your God. Don't put that on the throne over me. If I'm asking you to do this, that's all you need to know. And so when he reaffirmed to me through reading Jonah, expanding my understanding, allowing me to have this knowledge, gifting me this knowledge to understand these things, I am blessed. And so here I am today with this episode, sharing with you guys so that you can understand too these things happening in your life, so that you can see these things in your life play out in real time. When your heart, you now can identify when your heart is being like Jonah, where you're like, you know what, I know better and I don't need to do that. I'm just going to do what I want to do, how I want to do it on my time, and not listening to God. And so I have a couple questions. Do you find yourself having a hard time wanting to be fully committed to God? Do you find yourself having reservations about what that really means? Do you find yourself worrying about what your life would look like if you did that? Because I'll be honest, that's been on my mind. I began to remember that point in my walk with God as well, when I was a late teen, maybe early 20s. I was thinking, what exactly? There was something in me, the sinful part of me, that wanted to hold on to aspects of my life and not wanting to give those up because of fear of what that actually meant, what the price was really going to be, what it was going to cost me. Do you see that in your life? Do you see areas in your life where you do not want to surrender that to God? Do you think about people in your life that you want to be in good standing with, and you worry about what that means if you gave your life fully to God? Would that mean that those people are no longer in your life? Would that mean having to explain to them your beliefs and your faith in God? Does that deter you? Does that scare you? Does that mean that you look at your life and see areas where you know that God is asking you to put those away now, and you're not ready? You want to hold on to those things? That's a part of the walk. That's a part of us saying yes to God. Only we can do that. And I just want to bring those things up because if you are either not a believer yet, if you're questioning, if you are a believer and you are in those places in your faith, I want to let you know that it's not only you. It's the sin that God is asking you to let go of, and so that He can replace that. It's a part of dying to yourself. It's a part of the process. And so it's not just you. It's not just you. It's the sin in your heart that wants to hold on to your understanding, being able to say when and what. Those are lies from the enemy. That's him trying to trip you up. That's him using those and like speaking, whispering into your ear. What else are you going to have to give up? What does that mean? That you won't have friends if you let go of all these people and what they're doing, and they're, they drink every weekend, or every time you guys hang out, they're drinking, or they're talking about these different things, or their lifestyle. Does that mean you have to end those friendships? The enemy is always going to try to make things seem like it's a negative to say yes to God. Friends, it's not a negative. God is life. He loves us so much. You're going to have to get to a point where you are going to have to say either yes and allow Him fully into your heart and stop limiting the access. And that's going to continually happen as He's sanctifying you, sanctifying me. But there's going to come a time where you decide, I'm done saying no. I'm done running away. I'm done compartmentalizing and just allowing you to these aspects and not to the rest of my life. God is wanting to heal us. God is wanting to love us. God is wanting to reveal Himself to us, and He is Lord. He wants to be Lord of your life, and not just Lord so he can reign over you. It's a relationship. And once you get to know his character, you start to understand that he's not wanting you to give up things just so that he can be in charge and tell you what to do. He knows what's best for us. He understands what's silently killing us. He understands the damage that these things are doing. And because his love for us, he wants us to be whole. He's wanting us to be holy. And so he's going to take us through a process. And so if you're in this place of fear, of what that means to be all in, I feel like this message is for you. And so I wanted to kind of go in further. When God gave me this message, it felt like it wasn't, I wasn't completely ready to give the exact message, but he led me to this passage. As I was journaling, he gave me this. And so as I was wanting to understand more what he was giving me for this episode, for his children, for myself, I understood. I kind of dug into this passage because he gave it to me. So I just wanted to read it to you. It's Psalm 34. A psalm of David regarding the time he pretended to be insane in front of Abimelech, who sent him away. Okay, Psalm 34. I will praise the Lord at all times. I will constantly speak his praises. I will boast only in the Lord. Let all who are helpless take heart. Come, let us tell of the Lord's greatness. Let us exalt his name together. To me, this ties in together us believers and people who are giving their lives to God newly. Let us speak about him. Let us talk to the world and share the gospel with people, just like God asked Jonah. We're not here just to live our life and to live the daily things, just indulging for ourselves. God gifts us with pleasures and good things because he's a good father. But us as believers, we're supposed to be spreading the gospel. We're supposed to be sharing with coworkers, friends, people around us, the goodness of who God is. And so this plays into that. I prayed to the Lord and he answered me. He freed me from all of my fears. Have you experienced that freedom of when God takes things away from you that have hindered you? That's what you talk about. Your personal experiences with God is yours to tell, is to share with the world what God has done in your life, how he's moved, how you saw him personally, how he saved you from things, protected you from things, revealed himself to you. Those who look at him for help will be radiant with joy. No shadow of shame will darken their faces. In my desperation I prayed, and the Lord listened. He saved me from all my troubles. For the angel of the Lord is a guard. He surrounds and defends all who fear him. When we're afraid to get out of our comfort zone and to share the gospel with people, that's not abnormal. Don't let that deter you. We have to be able to push through the fear to be able to get to the other side. It's just like with anything else that we want to get good at. You just have to keep practicing. And if God asks you, puts on your heart to speak to someone, to pray for someone, to bless someone, don't be afraid, because God is with you. If your heart is positioned to honor God and to honor his children and to be obedient, God is always going to be with you. He's not going to just leave you to do it on your own. And it's not to say that it's not going to be uncomfortable or scary, because it is. It's a muscle that you're growing. But again, reminding you, the point of this is to remind ourselves of Jonah and what God asked him to do. There's blessings in what God asks us to do. There's a blessing in even partnering with God and what he wants to do in his kingdom and through us to reach the people that he wants to save. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Oh, the joys of those who take refuge in him. Fear the Lord, you, his godly people. For those who fear him will have all they need. It's asking us to respect God for who he is, not to be afraid of him and what he's going to do to us out of and obeying out of fear, but understanding who he is and what that means for him to be Lord of our life. Not just our Savior, not just our friend, not just our comforter. He's all of these things, but he's also Lord of our life. And that in itself is such a huge component of having him, of us understanding who he is. He should be Lord of our life. That means he gets access to every part of our life. And through your quiet time with him, through your seeking him out, you're going to understand his character more and more. And your guard will begin to be brought down little by little. All those walls that you've built up of protection out of experiences in your life, or even pride, walls of pride of I know best and I know what to do and I can just let that go when I want to. But really, like, if you could have let go of a sin on your own, then why aren't you? Why is it so difficult? Why are you still holding on to it if you know that it's hurting you? God has to be Lord of our life, and I understand it's a process, and I want you to understand too it's a process, and he understands, but he still calls us to understand that he is Lord. Even strong young lions sometimes go hungry, but those who trust in the Lord will lack no good thing. Come, my children, and listen to me, and I will teach you to fear the Lord. Does anyone want to live a life that is long and prosperous? Then keep your tongue from speaking evil and your lips from telling lies. Turn away from evil and do good. Search for peace and work to maintain it. The eyes of the Lord watch over those who do right. His ears are open to their cries for help, but the Lord turns his face against those who do evil. He will erase their memory from the earth. The Lord hears his people when they call for him for help. He rescues them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. The righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to the rescue each time. For the Lord protects the bones of the righteous. Not one of them is broken. Calamity will surely overtake the wicked, and those who hate the righteous will be punished. But the Lord will redeem those who serve him. No one who takes refuge in him will be condemned. This drives it home. God is going to be there with you, with me, with us, as he asks us to do something. He's not just going to leave you unprotected. He's a good God. And so today's episode really is clearly about what is stopping you from allowing God to be Lord of your life, of allowing God access to every part of your life. So I hope that this encourages you. I hope that this painted a clearer picture of what it looks like to live a life in the way that God would have us. He's called us each to do something, to partner with him. He's called us each to himself. And part of that is using the gifts that he's given us. He wants to partner with us to reach the lost. He wants to partner with you to reach the lost. He wants your story to help people to see the goodness of him in your life, how he's turned things around, how he's healed you, how he's saved you, protected you, and reassured you of his love. And so he talked to me about the way we fill our time So many times we use fillers. So many times we're like scrolling mindlessly, watching Netflix, doing so many other things that are not for his kingdom. And he asks us to focus on him first, and the rest will follow. God needs to be in the center of our life, and everything else should go after him. And so I believe that he's calling us to do that. I believe he's reminding us and awakening us to that truth of just not living a life of autopilot. I believe this episode is a wake-up call to partner with him, to refocus and reset your mind on what is good and what the purpose is, why we're here, and to encourage us to run back to him, to encourage his children to seek him out and to turn from sinful things that we do in our life, choices that we've made and continue to make. This is the wake-up call. This is him speaking to you, personally speaking to me. This is him wanting you to partner with him, to reach your coworkers, to reach the people, your friends in your life who are unbelievers, the people on the fence that you know in your life. Share God with them. Share your story with them. Share God's goodness with them. You don't have to have the Bible memorized. You don't have to be a scholar. It's not a requirement. Just be obedient. Allow him access. Allow him to expand your understanding of who he is and what that truly means. He's going to give you the wisdom as you need it and provide you all of your needs as each day comes, as the moment comes. And if he's asking you to do something, don't let fear stop you. Press in, because you have that choice. Just like Jonah, you can run away. But what would it look like if you stopped running? What would it look like if you invited him into every aspect of your life? What would that missing part in your spirit feel like? Because each of us has a deep need for God, a deep hole that can only be filled by him. We were created to be in relationship with him, and we find a lot of different ways to try to fill that, fill our self-esteem by investing in our image more than we should. It's not to say that we shouldn't care about what we look like, but there's always a healthy line. Is our appearance more important to us? Our physical body more important to us? The clothes that we wear, the brands that we use, is it more important to us that people think we're great and smart and cool or trendy or creative? Is it more important to us to please people and to look good in their sight? Is that more important to us? Friends, let's reevaluate. Let's be honest with ourselves. And if any of that is resonating, if any of that is stinging a little, that's God calling you to the altar to allow him to work that with you, to address those things with you. Nothing is hidden from him, and he sees it all, and he wants you to be holy. He wants you to be whole. He wants the broken parts of you to be healed by him. And he's extending the invitation. He's reminding you, or telling you for the first time, if you're watching this and you're not a believer yet, Jesus loves you, and he's waiting to encounter you. He's waiting to be a part of your life. He's waiting to blow your mind. He's so excited to introduce himself to you. Whether you've never met him before or you haven't fully experienced him in those ways. Jesus desires for us all to know him. And so, friends, if this resonates, I invite you to speak to him today, tomorrow, going forward, and invite him into your life, to ask him to help you to let those things go that have been hindering you, that have been hard for you to let go of in your life, and ask him to reveal to you if there are things that have been hindering you, if there are things that have been stopping you from being able to see him for who he is. And so I really hope that this blesses you guys. I'm really excited and happy to share this with you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.